Namaskar. Good afternoon, everybody. My keynote is before the lunch break. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing, but I promise I will not keep you away from food for very long. So, the topic of my talk is No Congress, No Nonsense. Chronicles of a Political Bharat. So when I read the topic, I said an entire day will pass and I'll never be able to finish this conversation. So where do I start? And that's where I started thinking that what is it that I want to say that will encapsulate the current worries in my head. So in that context, Bharat for me and Bharat for us is not just a piece of land. सिर्फ एक भूमि का टुकड़ा नहीं है. This is our mother with a heartbeat. For any living being that has a soul, जिसमें प्राण है, has to go through a karmic cycle. And perhaps because of that cycle of karma of our motherland, we've seen such a long 70-year Congress rule by the Nehru-Gandhi family. Only now we see the cycle of karma turning. Now we see Bharat and our mother reclaiming some of her lost glory. So I want to focus on the most pressing worries we have as a country today, and that is national security. So, people ask कि तुम right wingers जब देखो, whenever you talk to, you guys, you're always criticizing the Congress, always criticizing the Gandhis, why you're talking about history, talk about the present and all of that. But a nation that does not learn from its history, does not move forward, continues to make the same mistakes and goes in a loop, and an unending loop. So we have to learn from history. So in that context, let's look at the last 6 months that we have experienced as a country, that we have experienced as a nation. What have we seen? We have seen Pahalgam attacks. Okay, what happened in Pahalgam? People were asked, are you Hindu, are you Muslim? If you're Hindu, you're killed. Yeah? Why did these attacks, why did the Pahalgam attack happen? Again, the answer lies in history. So we need to understand. Jammu and Kashmir has always been kept boiling. Okay, not just by our neighbors, but also by our internal enemies. They like it to boil. Okay, they use it as an excuse to attack us. So now, let's go back even further into history. Yesterday was Loha Purush Shri Sardar Patel ji's 150th birth anniversary. The great unifier of Bharat. But like Advocate Saab also mentioned, and even before that, Kashmir was a problem. And why was it a problem? Let's look at that. Maharaja Hari Singh repeatedly communicated to Sardar Patel, to Acharya Kripalani ji, and said, I want to join the Union of Bharat. I am willing to sign the accession document at the same time that other princely states are signing it. Please let me sign it. Panditji sent Mountbatten to Kashmir, and Maharaja Hari Singh went in his little open car to pick up Mr. Mountbatten. And in that 5-minute conversation, Maharaja Hari Singh understood that Mountbatten here is pitching for Jammu and Kashmir to join Pakistan. So he kept his mouth shut. He said, I have diarrhea. He sent Mountbatten on a hunting trip and he didn't see him for the rest of that visit. What happened after that? Again and again it was communicated that please, accept my accession. Kashmir wants to be a part of the Indian Union. And he was denied. Why? Because Panditji wanted to make his friend, his very good buddy, Sheikh Abdullah, the Prime Minister with a separate constitution. Alag Desh, alag constitution. Right? So, this is why it has always remained a boiling pot. He got his way. Sheikh Abdullah did lead Kashmir. We saw that he divided it on religious lines. And what was the thinking? What do you think was Panditji's thinking behind doing this? He said that the people of Jammu and Kashmir are not Hindus. They are Muslims. So they will not be able to integrate with Bharat. Hence, Kashmir cannot become an integral part of Bharat. That narrative is used even today by our own people. There are voices that arise from Bharat saying that POK ko wapas le lo. But then there are same voices that say POK ko wapas liya to problem ban jayega because these are not our people, they are not Hindus. This is our land. These are our people. It is ours. So wapas le lo it has to be ours. So this is not an argument that one should be making. Let's move forward once again and why this remains a national security concern for us even today. Panditji took the whole Kashmir issue to the United Nations after Pakistan launched their attack with the help of the British. Under the wrong section, experts here will understand, he internationalized this issue. He went to the UN saying that this is a case of disputed territory. This is not disputed territory. This is an aggressor coming on our land, forcefully taking it. It is not a dispute. We have to fight the aggressor and kick them out. If we took it under the correct section, India could have been able to continue to use its army and its armed forces and throw out the aggressor, which was Pakistan, who had no business in being on our land. So that is your historical context as to why Kashmir continues to simmer today. Now, let's move forward. What happened after Pahalgam attack? What happened? Operation Sindoor. India went into army territory and we conducted Operation Sindoor. What happened during Operation Sindoor? I'll leave this to the experts to discuss this, and I know there are many interesting conversations on Operation Sindoor today and tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to attending. But what happened during Operation Sindoor? We had to repeatedly state that our actions are not escalatory in nature. Why? Why did we have to do that? Why did we have to repeatedly say that our actions were not, they were escalatory? We did go into enemy territory. We did want to hit them. We did want to hit their army bases, air force bases. They were escalatory in nature. So why did we have to put on this farce? Because we are trying to show ourselves as a nation that we aren't. Okay? And especially between India and Pakistan. With Pakistan, very early on, it has always had this client state mentality. Whoever pays it money, it dances for them. So, because of this client state mentality, and now we know that it lets China, it lets the United States, it lets the Middle East use its strategic assets. So we knew that if we build the narrative that no, we are going into Pakistan and we are attacking Pakistan, Pakistan has all these clients that will come to its defense, some which are visible and some which are acting under an invisibility cloak. So we had to continue to maintain that no, our actions are not escalatory in nature. Why do you think Pakistan got this favoritism with the world? Of course, it dances for who pays it money. But for a very long period of time, Bharat and its political leadership, the Congress, chose to maintain and keep us in this bubble of being isolated under the garb of non-alignment. Non-alignment was not the way to go. Multi-alignment was. We had to be talking to all parts of the world repeatedly, but we chose to isolate ourselves, isolate our markets. Right? We use license Raj and all kinds of tools to completely isolate ourselves. And using that as an opportunity, Pakistan made all these clients and these friends that come to its defense. What happened after Operation Sindoor? President Trump swooped in and announced that he has brokered a ceasefire. Who is President Trump to swoop in? And why? Right? Now let's look at decades of the India-US relationship and how Congress chose to build it. India-US relationship was absolutely not consequential for the Congress leadership for many, many, many decades because US had chosen Pakistan as its client state. Somewhere in the middle with John F. Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy met Mr. Pandit Nehru, developed some kind of a personal affinity, and then the 1962 China War happened. Just when some relationship was starting to be rebuilt, Pandit Nehru asked the United States to send in American planes to fight the Indo-China war on India's behalf, and that killed the growing relationship for many decades. It's only over the last 15 or so years that we're able to start building this relationship. I'll come to why this relationship is consequential a little bit later as well. So only over the last 15 years have we been able to truly follow what we say is strategic autonomy and talk to all parts of the world and rebuild this Indo-US relationship. Before Operation Sindoor, President Trump had announced multiple times that we are going to sign a mini trade deal. After Operation Sindoor, not only were tariffs shot up to 25%, but he also applied a 25% punitive sanction on us for buying Russian oil. So 50%. Anyway, 25% you are out of the competitive market to sell your goods. 50% is ridiculous. You can make it 500, then it doesn't matter. Why did he do that? Why did he hike up and punish us? Because we refused to tell him that yes, you mediated this war. Yes, you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, you are a architect of global peace. Right? Why did he have that expectation from us in the first place? And how do we need to handle the Indo-US relationship? Were we wrong that we built it over the last decade and a half, or are we wrong now that we think that we don't need the United States and let's go sit with China? Right? There is so much distrust because of this decades of the Congress political relationship between the Indo-US relationship that every time there is progress, there comes a hit. And right now, let's look at our economic size. Since we're talking about trade deals, we are a $4 trillion economy. China is an $18 trillion economy. The United States is 37 trillion. Right? 37 trillion. We are moving to a world which used to be from a unipolar world which was US centric after the Soviet Union collapsed to now almost a bipolar world between US and China, where China sees itself as a regional player here and the US itself sees itself as the big boss of the entire world still, and we're trying to say that we're still finding ground. Sometimes I feel that the enemies are within us. We have to realize that there is a big difference between 4 trillion, 18 trillion and 37 trillion. Can we pick up a fight? What does our Shastras teach us? Can you pick up a losing battle? No, you can't pick up a losing battle. Had we made these kinds of arrangements and opened up markets long ago, we had the potential to grow much, much faster. Finally, we've come around to that. Now, what happened after that? We went to the SCO summit and we became friends with China again. Right? Now, let's look at China. Is China our friend? Can China ever be our friend? It can never be our friend. Let's look at what it did in 1962. Since yesterday was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's 150th birth anniversary, I was going through some of his letters. And I read a letter of him warning Pandit Nehru on Tibet in, I think, 1950. And he said, you're mishandling Tibet and it's no longer a buffer. You're giving it away. You're letting China take it. It is no longer a buffer between us and China. The Himalayas are not going to come to protect us. The fact that you have used all of your international standing to lobby for China to get it the UN Security Council seat, to show your goodwill to China. This is your mistake. Don't do that. Lobby for yourself. Lobby for India. Lobby for Bharat. Why are you lobbying for China? And this is a very, very big mistake. However, Panditji chose to form his friendships with China and was completely taken for a ride. China has always had an expansionist salami slicing policy, where it thinks that it'll take a little bit of your land that nobody notices, then a little bit more, then a little bit more. That's salami slicing strategy. And it was always going to use this with us. We were completely taken aback. Panditji was so surrounded by his family and friends as advisors then that they said, you know what, just to show that we are also capable, let's build some forward posts, on our border with China, and we can say that we are prepared for war. So they built these little shacks on the border, which were destroyed in one day. In one day, China destroyed us. Okay? It came to a point that not only was our chicken neck cut off, the entire northeast China was going to take over. All of the northeast. That's when we wrote that desperate letter to President Kennedy, that please send the US planes to fight for us. It was out of China's goodwill then that they decided that they are going to retreat again and the northeast is going to be part of Bharat. So again, China continues to remain a concern. When I say that I'm very concerned about our national security situation today, and the roots of that lie in historical realities since we've gained independence. So now the second, the second Chronicles from a political Bharat. We, especially the right-wing universe, we think that we are the third pole of the world today. Are we the third pole of the world today? No. Can we be the third pole of the world? Yes. But can we be that today? No. It will take strategy. You will have to be the third pole by selling your products to countries that have the power to pay you. That's how you be the third pole. That's how you strategize. Countries who aspire to be poles of power create institutions and international orders. When America aspired to be a pole, it created NATO. It created institutions like the international institutions, okay? And then they create these institutions that are either economic institutions or they are security institutions. China did the same thing. China created an SCO, right? US created the NATO. US created the European Union. which is an economic institution. Is Bharat creating those institutions? Yes. We foresee that the global south is an institution. But is it a powerful institution today? Our country is going to go to war for us? No. So, this type of strategic thinking never existed in Bharat after independence. It is only now that we see that we have a dream, that we have a collective dream, that we can become a third pole of power. And to achieve that collective dream, we continue to take those steps. But are we there yet? No. Can we pick up the fights? Can we pick up fights with the big two poles of power in the world today? No, we can't. So that is the reality. When we see the political opposition, yesterday the NSA, National Security Advisor, made a very interesting statement on democracy. He said that you don't need to enjoy majority to come to power in this country. You just need to divide the rest. And he said, and follow the money. So you'll come to know how the divisions are happening. That's what the opposition is doing. Dividing the country. That's what it has always done. It divides us. Because that's your road to political power. And that is the reality today. We see on one side the Bharatiya Janata Party, you see a right, center of right ecosystem that has a vision for us, that has a vision where India needs to stand, where Bharat needs to be in the international order and is taking steps forward. And on the other side, and yesterday on a panel, a congressman got really livid and angry when I said that, you had Panditji who was a Nepo kid. First he had his father lobbying for him when he was alive to make him Congress chief, took away that from Sardar Patel, so there was no merit there. And after he passed away, after Motilal Nehru passed away, Panditji continued to tell Gandhiji that you are only my father now, all my decisions you make, and think that you are my father and think like a father and make my decisions. He used emotional blackmail as a legitimate tool. So I said, Panditji was a Nepo kid, and the entire family, that Nepo kid attitude of entitlement continues to persist in the Congress ecosystem today. Thank you. So that is the other side of the political reality of Bharat today that we have to fight. And it's this side that has this privilege and this entitlement that Nepo children have, that this land is ours to grab. This land is ours to divide. We will tell you what to say and what not, how to divide and on what lines. That is what we have to fight. So unifying the country remains a challenge, and just like our previous panelists have said, what is the one unifier? Hinduism. Being Bharatiya. Bharatiya languages, they don't divide, they unify. Bharatiya culture doesn't divide, unifies. Maharashtra can have Shivaji, in the south there could be multiple languages, but those are what is unifying us. So we must look at our differences as unifiers and continue to remember that the political opposition today, like they always have, are divisive. There was a question in the last panel that why aren't we declaring ourselves as a Hindu nation? Nobody asked me to answer this, but I'm going to take a shot. Why don't we declare ourselves as the Hindu nation? There is one answer: vote bank politics. So the way to political leadership is division. So how can you declare that you are a united nation? What will the opposition do? How will they come to power? That is the answer to your question. With that, I will end my talk. Thank you very much for listening. And now I will let you go to lunch. Thank you. before we release a few books. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can we take a few questions?
Of course. Go ahead.
So the floor is open for questions.
Yeah.
Hariom ma'am, amazing speech, thank you. And
Namaste, thank you.
And my question, and some of my peers also might have thought of the same question, is In your speech, you mentioned that goodwill of China, it was goodwill of China that resulted in India still having the northeast for ourselves. Can you please elaborate on that?
Yes. So in 1962, like I said, all of the forward posts that we had built as little shacks along the border to instigate China were literally wiped off in less than 48 hours. At that time, Panditji requested President Kennedy and said, please send US fighter jets to fight on India's behalf. And that time there was negotiation going on a ceasefire. And China retreated, did not take our northeast, but also they claimed that 40,000 kilometers of land, in the heights, and also came forward towards Arunachal and made it the new line of control. So it took some of our land, a lot of our land permanently, in order to retreat and kind of show the world that it has agreed to let Bharat keep our northeast.
But Priyamji, they also had some logistical problems of support for its army. Therefore, it was not able to maintain its positions and it had to go back because they didn't have logistical support. That was also one angle.
Correct. Absolutely.
General Kaul and V.K. Krishna Menon spoiled the party.
Yes, absolutely.
Mike, you have mentioned that India lobbied for China's place in the United Nations Security Council. Was an opportunity was there for India to become a member of Security Council, which India gave up?
Of course, we had built these. Absolutely. I mean, we could have. There are so many letters and interactions that Panditji has had with all of the Western leaders to lobby for a place for the. And we wanted to show China that Indo-Chinese bhai situation. So we wanted to build that kind of goodwill. That was our thought process then. So to show that we are building that goodwill for them, we lobbied for them because we were confident that we enjoyed that place, in the international world order. That was, I think, one of our biggest mistakes. Yes.
India always aspires to good point. Very good point is good. Unlike Pakistan, is it affecting our security?
So I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat that again?
See, Bharat always aspire to be a good boy in the school. Very good boy. Unlike Pakistan. Pakistan doesn't matter. It will announce that it wants to invade Kashmir. It wants to trouble India. It doesn't even hesitate to tell the world foe. But we are a very good boy. We always try to exhibit all good qualities. Is it not affecting our security?
Yes, it does. I think, but it is inherent in us, that we look. So, Vasudeva Kutumbakam is not just a term for us, right? We have that self-confidence, and that self-confidence just doesn't come from speeches of political leaders. This self-confidence comes because we have seen incredible wealth in our civilizational history. We know how to make that kind of money. We know how to trade with the world. We know what the world wants from us. So this is this confidence that we can be a good boy but still reach the heights and lead the world comes from civilizational memory. We've done that before. We'll do it again. But all this jingoism that America को दिखा दिया और China को दिखा दिया और इनको दिखा दिया उनको दिखा, I think we all need to calm down. We have reached the pinnacles of success in our civilizational past by understanding what the world wants from us, by harnessing the monsoon winds, using the Indian peninsula, trading with every part of the world. We need to do that again. Nobody should stop us and nobody should distract us from becoming an economic powerhouse. That is the path to becoming a solid pole of the world.
Hello.
Yeah.
See, my question is, So is it a misnomer that you addressed Jawaharlal Nehru as Pandit ji, or was it a sarcasm?
So you interpret it as you want.
Thank you so much, Priyamji. We request Sri Shyam Sundar, former CEO of L&T Coimbatore, to felicitate Priyamji.
Thank you.